Welcome back. Welcome back to the Olga S. Pérez Show. How you doing? How's everybody doing? What's going on? What's happening? Let me know where you're chiming in from, where you're logging in from, what part of the world. Where are you? What's the weather like? Let me know in the chats. I will be looking at them as I go through the live, especially at the end. We'll go real deep at the end. You might want to get your popcorn. And I have a special announcement to make. It was my birthday yesterday. Yay! I'm still alive. And when I was younger, I didn't think I was going to make it to 30. So now I'm like, hey, here I am. And if you can't join me for a drink, I put a link in there. You can buy me a coffee. I love my coffee. I find that coffee is an aphrodisiac. Don't you agree? It's awesome. Shannon, welcome. Great to see you. Welcome back. Welcome back. So this is a special request. I had a few people ask me, but I had one particular person, Pixel fan, mentioned it a few times. And I've been wanting to watch this documentary. Let me know in the comments. Have you guys watched this documentary? What is a Woman? And I'm going to say it right off the bat. I'm not doing this because I'm a woman and the documentary is called What is a Woman? If you know me already, you know I'm all about center. Just let's talk some facts. I take no sides. I'm for just facts, like logic, or even if logic is argumentable, right? Let's do it. I feel like my whole mission with this channel, I actually was going to say two different things. That's why I'm like, I feel like, and then I went, so let me take that back real quick. That's the thing with live streams, right? You get to see all the bloopers and all the Freudian slips and whatnot. But, I don't like to amplify what everybody else is doing, whether we think we're right or we think someone else is wrong. It's irrelevant. It's more like, okay, if we're going to amplify it, let's do it in a little different angle and perspective, which is, how there's like the body language experts? Well, I have a background in that, but I'm mixing in my teaching, life strategist, consulting, coaching, my own instinct. So know right off the bat that I'm using everything I've learned from human behavior and what I've seen and how I can understand or get through or call people's bullshit out. And so let's see, because there's been a lot of talk about this documentary. And I saw the trailer, so I was going to watch it regardless. But when someone's like, and it's funny because I was just going to maybe use one or two clips of the documentary. And then in the end, I said, you know what? I haven't watched it yet, so I'm going to watch it live. You're going to see me react live. I would love to get your comments and your input. Like I said, we're going to get into it together because that's what this is all about. It's about us. And then I'll make clips from like all the this distinctive or the highlights. All right. So I'm going to screen share. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Being a dad is one of the great privileges of my life. Give my son a BB gun, and that's just about all the emotional support he needs. My daughter, on the other hand, I've heard people say that there are no differences between male and female. But those people are idiots. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 4. I host a talk show. I give speeches. I write books. I like to make sense of things. But making sense of females is a whole other matter. Even astrophysicist Stephen Hawking, who could come up with a theory on black holes, was completely dumbfounded by women.
Women, they are a complete mystery.
Our culture is telling us that the differences between girls and boys don't matter. That if you identify as something, then you are that thing. How do we help our kids make sense of this when they're bombarded with conflicting messages about gender and identity? Forget trying to figure out women. The real question is, what is a woman?
As you grow, your body changes from that of a young girl to that of a woman. Soon, Molly will be a young woman, having dates, going to dances in lovely romantic dresses.
The boy's shoulders are broad and his body muscular, while the girl's body is more curved.
I'd like to know more about different kinds of hormones.
The presence of these hormones in the blood brings about many changes in the bodies of both boys and girls.
Being a woman is one of the things I like the best about myself. I think you'll like it too.
I like to come out here to think nature seems to always tell the truth, even when we don't want to hear it. Truth is, I'm not very good at fishing. But what is truth? Is there a truth? Is this what progress looks like? Can my boys really become girls? Do I have 4 daughters? Do I now have to pay for 4 weddings? Is there a son trapped in my daughter's body? If so, how do I get him out? Are any of my kids who they claim to be? Who are these people? Who am I?
Great.
I better see a therapist.
In the state of Tennessee, I'm a licensed marital and family therapist, which basically means I've been trained up to think about like systems, family systems, how we were raised up, how that shapes who we are today.
So on your website, if you'll bear with me,
Sure.
Quoting, you say, I use a combination of approaches in my therapeutic work, including anti-oppression, feminist, and narrative frameworks. I rely deeply on systems theory and understanding that individuals are products of and in dialogue with our surroundings, including our families, broader culture, workplaces, nature, and political climates. What does that mean?
Yeah. So thinking about the modalities that I use, I'm definitely informed by like feminist family therapy, and the idea is that we live in gendered worlds where there are certain imperatives that are placed on us about who we are and what we do based on how we've been gendered. From the minute I was assigned female, I was told, okay, these are the kind of clothing that you're...
Oof. I have to pause right there. That's a thing right there. So I was following her 100%. And I think everything she was saying was perfect. It made total sense. Like she said, it's like what society imposes on you, whether you're a male, female, whoever you are, society imposes things. Not just society, right? Every culture has their own unique impositions, if you want to call it that. But the assigned part, I love how when they're using these words, assigned is, I'm assigning you this seat at a table, okay? The way you're born, the body you're born in is not assigned. So it doesn't matter if we agree or disagree. It's the fact that that word is wrong. Choose another word because that is wrong. I was also a translator for over 2 decades, an interpreter and a linguist at this. Okay, guys? So I'm telling you, please, that's the wrong word. If you want to have a discussion, I want to help you. I want to help whoever, even if I'm not on their side, use the right word. You were not assigned something like a chair. And again, I'm just giving you very basic. I'm just keeping it short, sweet, simple. Okay.
These are the type of play that you're going to engage in as a child, the path that maybe your life will take because of social expectation.
What do you mean by assigned female? Who
Interesting.
assigns female?
Yeah. So most times people, when they're born, they're assigned a gender
By the doctors.
Yeah.
Like, what do they base that assignment on?
So basically, it's based on genitalia. So people looking at genitalia and deciding, okay, this is a girl or a boy. And we know now that that sex and gender are so much more than just this binary.
We know now that sex and gender is more than just this binary. You mean we're like fluid as humans? We're creative people and we can act any way we want and call ourselves whatever names we want? Yeah, it's like we're all actors. We're all playing a role at the end of the day. And then we go. Like, you're only here for a certain time and that's it. But Okay.
Men have penises, right? Some men have vaginas.
No. There's penises, there's vaginas. Some men have penises, some have vaginas. So then men are women and women are men. So there's not all these different sexes, one and the same. If you think about how she said it, it's one and the same. There's no separate. So we're all both men and women and men. Has anybody thought about that? I haven't heard that.
That's not how gender works.
How do we know that that's not true? Where do we learn that from?
Yeah, well, I learned that from hearing from transgender people who've said like, oh, I'm a trans woman, and just because I happen to have a penis, right, that doesn't mean that this is like who I am.
I understand that. If you don't think that that's who you are, I totally understand that. Which is why they call it, and don't get me wrong, this is again a human that puts a label saying the gender dysphoria, meaning you're confused or you don't know or you're not sure or you feel like you're not in the right body. And I get that. But that's more of a mental thing, not a physical, biological, tangible, visual thing. It's in the mind, which I can totally go down that rabbit hole. I'm very interested. But even the fact that she mentioned trans, we're like, when anyone uses the word trans means transition. So I don't mind that. You're a trans man, you're a trans woman, but you're not a man and a woman at the same time, or you're not a man. I mean, I get it. I get where they're going with this already. Like I can feel it. Let's all be inclusive. Let's be more open-minded. Let's be more progressive, like more advanced. Let's be more open, not so black and white. Life is more than that. Absolutely. But based on our 3D reality, you know what I'm saying? They better do some like kind of miracles here to, you know, or put like, I don't know, like 3D glasses, you know what I mean? Like when you go to the movies and you like have a 3D, you know what I'm saying? Help me out here.
Person, or that genitalia doesn't equal gender. Who they are, their gender expression. That a trans woman is a woman.
With the fluidity of these things, how do I know?
That's again, if they could just speak better, they could have a better position because you just said a trans woman is a woman. Either she's a trans woman or she's a woman. You get me?
If I'm a woman,
That's a great question.
I like scented candles.
Yeah.
I've watched Sex and the City.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do I know?
Yeah, Matt, that question right there, like that question is like when it's asked with a lot of curiosity, right? That's the beginning of a lot of people's like gender identity development journeys.
If my mom who gave birth to me is a woman, and my wife is a woman, though I haven't asked her. Maybe I should. But if they're
I hate to say this, she seems like a really sweet woman or whatever she identifies herself with. Is it the right word? And correct me, because that's what I'm all about. Let's use the right word. Is it condescending or patronizing, like that look? Because see, what you say to me is not the entire conversation. Your looks, your body language, my looks, my body language. I mean, we're communicating in more than one way. So I'm more focused on let's communicate correctly versus he, she, they, them, you know what I'm saying? The opposites or the fluidity and the non-binary. Just, you're still human and you're still acting where you're speaking two different messages here. Just saying, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you want me to call you. I prefer to call you by your name personally. Seriously.
So the boy who sits down with you and says, I think I'm a girl, actually is one. Then what is a woman?
Yeah. Great question. I'm not a woman, so I can't really answer that.
Yeah, you see, if I was sitting next to her, I would be like, oh, why aren't you a woman? Maybe he's going to say it now. I don't know. I haven't watched this, right? This is my first time live reaction. But explain to me how you're not a woman. That's not an answer. So you're not a woman, so you can't really answer that. So that's pretty good. Okay, I'm sorry.
I thought therapy would make me less confused. Am I the only one feeling this way? I need to hit the road and find out. We're talking about gender in society. Let me start with a real basic question. What is a woman?
Woman.
I don't want to assume, but you guys are all women?
For women.
So how would you define it, like in the simplest terms?
It is hard. Yeah, it is. It is a scumper.
A woman is someone that likes to be pretty and think of themselves as a delicate creature.
I'm pretty indelicate.
Okay.
I could be a woman too.
Yes, you could.
Defining womanhood is just a project of someone who identifies as a woman.
Yeah, but what do they identify? So I'm saying, what do they identify as? They identify as a woman, but what is that?
He's asking really good questions, no doubt. And I'm not on his side, okay? I'm totally on no one side here. I just want good communication, clarification. Like, talk to me. Use your words, like we say to our little kids. Use your words.
I honestly don't know.
It's a
Good answer.
So why is it so hard to answer?
Oh, please. Okay, Matt, it's good, and it's good for this documentary. I get it, as far as like cinematography and all that. But like, yeah, I didn't pick up that he's being smart. I think he's just, filling, it just seems correct in the script. But we never got to this point before. This is a new thing. Like that we have to question what a woman is. And that everyone has these different answers for a woman. I would love to sit with these women because I can tell you what it is. Because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a boy. Not just as a kid. I was called a tomboy, all the classic old school stuff. And then, I really did not want to be a girl. When my breasts started growing, I had a dirt bike. I just wanted to be a guy. I just wanted to play and like be rough. And I just didn't want the restrictions that women had. I didn't want to play with Barbies. I didn't want to do my hair and makeup. Those were none of me at all. But guess what? I was born with a vagina. I had menstrual cycles. Okay. That forces you to accept what your experience is. If I had to put it in a total quick nutshell of what a woman or a man is, it's the experience of being that. Literally, you didn't choose it. You were born with it. Because you can be mentally thinking that you're a man trapped in a woman's body, which I used to say jokingly. It's funny how the world has gone this way right now, because I used to say that just to be able to express my feelings so that I wasn't the typical girl or the typical woman or young lady or whatever throughout those years. But I had to embrace it at some point. I was definitely not going to pretend to be a man. That's definitely wasn't what I wanted. I just wanted the experience of a man, but I realized I couldn't have that. Even if I dressed like it, whether I wanted people to treat me like that, I knew that just instinctually at that point, maybe I should embrace it and let's see where it takes me. You know what I mean? And it took me a long time. It took me until way late in my life to accept that I was a woman. In fact, I didn't even like women. All my friends were males. To this day, I still hang out more with men than with women. But I found that as I got older, I actually needed women in my life. I didn't realize that before because I always put women in this, God, they're a pain in the ass. God, they don't shut up. Oh, God, all this drama, or you can't trust them. All these things. It's not that I didn't like women. It's just their behavior sometimes was just, I was more of a simple girl. That's why I like the guys. It's like, straight to the point. You know what I mean? But guess what? I was born with a body that gave me all these hormones, that gave me all these emotions, and gave me all these reactions, that the best thing I could have done was embrace it, see where it took me, at the very least. But I never questioned what I was, who I wanted to become. That was a better question. And that's what I focused on.
Take some serious investigation. For all of human existence, women were understood to be a certain thing. So what changed? No one can seem to answer the question now. Over 2,000 surgeries and counting, Dr. Marcy Bowers is the nation's preeminent sex change surgeon. Surely someone who does sex change surgeries can answer what a woman is. Dr. Marcy Bowers, first of all, thanks for talking to us.
My pleasure.
So you're a world-renowned gynecologist and surgeon. You're also a transgender woman. Can you tell me a little bit about...
Well, I identify as a woman, but...
You're a woman.
Again, that's the thing. If you are such a woman and you believe without a shadow of a doubt that you're a woman, you wouldn't say that. And if you knew that everyone would 100% be like, no, you're a woman. Let's say you can pull it off that well, that everyone never questions that you're a trans woman or previously a male or however label you want to put on it. But at the end of the day, she said, I identify as a woman. So wouldn't that be interesting to walk up to people and be like, oh, are you a woman? I identify as a woman. Okay, you identify as a woman, so you're not a woman. You're clearly saying that. But I love her posture where she's very convinced, very ready, like somebody that knows her script really well. I get it. That's good. But basically what I'm saying is that he, whatever you want to say, because again, I don't care about the labels. This individual knows what they are, is what she just admitted, in my opinion.
I mean, that's my life day to day, but I have a transgender history.
So one thing on your website, it says gender affirmed GAV, gender affirming vaginoplasty.
Mm-hmm.
What is that exactly?
A vaginoplasty is creation of a female vagina and vulva. We're altering the physical characteristics of the individual to fit better with a gender identity that is female.
This is all constructed from the penis?
Yes, that's right. The surgeries are quite refined in the sense that they really, not only do they look like female anatomy, but they also function that way for the most part. I mean, certainly it's a bit of a Faustian bargain. It's not perfect.
Does anyone ever regret their...
Hey, I gotta say, that's pretty cool that she said it's not perfect. Because they're constantly selling it out there like it's no big deal, anybody can do it, and life is just great afterwards. In fact, even better. And that's just not the reality. It's not the facts. It's not the statistics, not the studies. I read so much about this. I've been doing it my whole life. I have friends that are transgender. I love them dearly. Nothing wrong with them. Whatever. I love everyone equal, period. You're a good person. I love you even more. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's not perfect. Notice. So you can't just flip the switch and boom, the fairy godmother just made you whatever you wanted. It's not perfect. There needs to be more talk about that in like mainstream. You know what I mean? Like it should be like a regular conversation. To be honest, the truth will set you free. Just being honest helps so much.
We know they do, but how often do people regret their surgeries?
Well, actually, we don't know that they do. There are legitimate detransitioners, and there are people who truly feel that in their journey, they may have made a mistake. Now, fortunately, this is a really, really uncommon phenomenon.
I don't know if you've ever heard of people in the trans-abled community. These are people who are physically able-bodied, but feel like they should be disabled or identify as such. For example, a man who has two arms, but feels like he should have one. If a man in this kind of marginalized community went to the doctor and said, I want to have my arm cut off, do you think that
doesn't have anything to do with gender identity?
So someone's self-identity, not someone identifies.
That's someone who has and I'll accept it as a mental diagnosis, a psychiatric condition. I don't even pretend to know what aptomenophilia is all about, but somehow it's the idea that you're fascinated or charmed by having a limb or part of a limb missing. Okay, I would say that's, pardon my non-medical language, kooky.
You don't see any? You think this is totally irrelevant?
Yeah.
So the biggest, broadest question is, what is a woman?
A woman is it's a combination of your physical attributes and then what you're showing to the world and the gender clues that you give. And hopefully those match your gender identity.
The gender clues that you give. I like this stuff. I mean, I haven't heard anybody talk like that. I like this, but like I said, to me, only a person that has never been a woman from birth and experienced all that is to be a girl and to become a young lady and a mature female woman because of the physical attributes that you have to live with, like the vessel. Like, it's not the same to live in a sailboat than a yacht. And although they're both boats. Okay. I mean, I know it's a stupid like example, but you get me? Like, it's not the same to ride a bicycle and a motorcycle. It's just not. I've done them both. Like, So I'm not trying to minimize what she's saying, but my thing is what she's just saying. Give me a second. Look at what you're showing to the world. So what you're showing. So what you're acting. I love this. This takes me always back to one of my favorite quotes from Shakespeare. And forgive me for maybe I'm going to be bastardized it, but when he says, we're all actors, the world is your stage, your life, who you are, all of us, please. Okay, hold on.
Attributes, and then what you're showing to the world, and the gender clues that you give.
And the gender clues. So we're supposed to make decisions, know how to get along on clues. So again, if my clue is that you don't look the gender you're saying that you are, that's a clue, right? God, I wish I was sitting at this table with these people.
Those match your gender identity.
The critics on the other side of this, of this issue.
There aren't many, but go ahead.
There aren't many who would disagree with what you're saying about.
Well, the dinosaurs of the world are certainly out there.
The dinosaurs.
How long have you been running the shop here?
25 years.
Cute.
Now, you had an incident here a little while ago that went really viral online. Lots of reaction in the public.
Aberdeen Councilwoman Tiesa Meskis confronted owner Don Suker about a sign he posted in his store.
One day I just put the sign up over here, and he came around the corner, and I thought, okay, I recognize him. I says, I recognize you. You're our new city councilman. He says, no, I'm your new city councilwoman. So it was kind of on from there.
You know what? It's bullshit.
Oh, I remember seeing this video on the internet.
No, it's not. Trans women are women, sir. That sign is bullshit.
I've been doing this.
That's what I mean. Again, if you're a woman or a man, whatever you think you are, why don't you say I am a woman? Why are you saying a trans woman is a woman? I'm telling you, they're not helping their case here. I'm trying to help them out. Honestly, come on, man. Everybody needs love. But I think we're going to get along better if we can communicate correctly, or at least more like truthful, or not accurate that I'm right. I'm just saying, say the right word.
Years, I've never had a problem with anybody, whether they're gay, transsexual, anything.
Now, you're saying councilman, this individual was saying, I'm a woman.
Right.
And you said you're not a woman. How do you know that person's not a woman?
How do I know?
Yeah.
Well, common sense.
Doesn't the science say that if someone identifies as a woman, then they are?
No. Now that's completely bogus.
Again, the statement that if you identify, then you are. No, identity, the word identity, no language, like where the word even came from originally, okay? I can pull it up right now, or I can put it in the comments, and you guys can look it up. Go look Greek, go look at Latin. Identity has got nothing to do with sex.
Here, if you think you're a sheepdog and you come into my store, it don't matter to me. Just don't come in and try to shove that shit down my throat.
If it makes someone feel better, what about their feelings?
I don't give a shit about their feelings. I'm old.
What about the Star Wars universe? Jar Jar Binks, pansexual, do you think? Transgender?
Why would I even care?
If it's his truth.
Well, it ain't true.
This guy's funny.
No.
How do you know that you're a man?
How do I know that I'm a, I guess because I got a dick.
Seems simple, right?
I guess Don isn't overthinking it.
It is simple, people.
He's not a gender
They're
study.
trying to brainwash everybody.
At the very least, a doctor. Maybe I should go talk to one.
Sounds like a good idea, Matt.
My name is Michelle Forcier, and I have a medical degree from University of Connecticut, residency, University of Utah Pediatrics, and I've worked for a number of different Planned Parenthoods for 20 years. I do advanced contraception and abortion, as well as gender hormones, and sort of looking at the whole sort of schema of gender, sex, and reproductive justice.
So you've done a lot of work in this field. Could you just start by telling us?
Sure.
At what age can a child first begin to transition into another gender or identify themselves as a gender different from how they were born?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's research and data that show that babies and infants understand differences in gender. Some children figure out their gender.
They do, by the way, guys. Like I said, I was a teacher, and my first years of teaching was in daycare with specifically infants, then kindergarten. Trust me, in years. But guess what? But some children figure out their gender really early. Yep. They know, they feel something between their legs. They're noticing a difference between, yeah, okay. Let's see where she's going with this.
Really early. And the reason why we say, oh, that's interesting or important is because they're figuring out their gender identity is not necessarily congruent with their sex assigned at birth.
When the doctor sees the penis and says, this is a male, has the sex of male, that's an arbitrary distinction.
Telling that family, based on that little penis, that your child is absolutely 100% male identified, no matter what else occurs in their life, that's not correct.
So what is gender affirmation care? You're a big proponent of. If we walk through, a child is sitting down with you, is questioning their gender. What's the gender affirmation process?
Affirmation means that as a pediatrician, as someone who says my job is to provide the best medical care for you, is I need to listen really carefully. And how I put it in words for kids so that they can understand it is, tell me your story. Where have you been in terms of your gender and your gender identity? Where are you right now? And more excitingly, where would you like to be in the future?
Have you ever met a 4-year-old who believes in Santa Claus?
Mm-hmm.
So this is someone who believes that a fat man is traveling through the sky on a flying reindeer at lightning speed, coming down his chimney with...
You know what? I'm going to rewind just real quick because, hold on.
Means that as a pediatrician, as someone who says my job is to provide the best medical care for you,
right?
Is I need to listen really carefully.
Okay, sure.
How I put it in words for kids so that they can understand it is, tell me your story. Where have you been in terms of your gender and your gender identity?
How old are these kids? I didn't see that she said that. Did you see it? I didn't see it. So we don't know the age here. Okay. So what's a child? Anybody who's not a teenager, so 11 and down? And does that include like 2-year-olds?
Now. And more excitingly.
And who'd ask that question? Where are you now? I mean, whatever happened to the simple fact that you could see some girls were more masculine than other girls, some boys were more feminine than other girls, and some were so feminine that it was clear as day. Others maybe didn't show it that much, and they did have it, and they hid it. And then that was their whole term about coming out of the closet, you know, as they become adults. I'm not saying that they should wait to become adults to say how they feel. I think that is definitely not a good thing. I mean, we're supposed to accept each other as we are, how we're born, whatever. I mean, none of us are, you know, omnipotent gods, you know, these perfect, you know, super powerful creatures from another galaxy that I know of, right? However we come out, we don't understand it completely. Where are they in terms of their gender? It's just not even a question that somebody asks. The kids are just being kids. They're trying to have fun. They're trying to fit in. They just want to be loved. That's a fact. That's the single most important thing. Because what's the point on accepting them and then maybe not liking them? How's that going to help them in life? When nobody likes them because they're forcing something or they get special treatment. Like, this is the slippery slope with this. Gender and sex has nothing to do with your formative years of who are you going to be. Your first 5 years are the most important as a child, from the time you're born to the 5th. There's plenty of studies forever and ever, and I've lived it myself. So why are they skipping that part? Okay, all right.
Where are you right now? And more excitingly, where would you like to be in the future?
Are we asking, like, where would you like your penis to be in the future or your vagina to be in the future? What are you asking me specifically? You're going to tell me that, kids say all kinds of stuff. Come on, I'm sure you guys have heard it, like, I want to be Superman, or I'm going to be this, or I am, Spider-Man or whatever. I mean, that's called imagination, part of growing up, part of being a creative person. We're made to be creative. Oh my God. Okay. All right. This is.
Ever met a 4-year-old who believes in Santa Claus? So this is someone who believes that a fat man is traveling through the sky on a flying reindeer at lightning speed, coming down his chimney with presents. Would you say that this is someone who maybe has a tenuous grasp on reality?
They have an appropriate 4-year-old handle on the reality.
Agreed.
That's very real for them.
Agreed. But Santa Claus is real for them, but Santa Claus is not actually real.
Yeah, but Santa Claus does deliver their Christmas presents.
Well, yeah, but he's not real, though.
To that child, they are.
When I see a child who, believes in Santa Claus, and then let's say this is a boy and he says, I'm a girl.
Mm-hmm.
This is someone who can't distinguish between fantasy and reality. So how could you take that as a reality?
I would say that as a pediatrician and as a parent, I would say how wonderful my 4-year-old and their imagination is.
Now, didn't I just talk about that we should let them to be imaginative? They're supposed to be that. They're supposed to be free to express themselves anyway. And we're supposed to give them the grounds, the love, the support. Yes, communicate with them. Talk to them. Listen to them. I get that's yes, absolutely. But I'm going to ask you, where do you think you're going with your penis in the future? Do you know yet? Why are we asking that? Don't you think the kid's going to tell you or give you a clue? Maybe you could say it better. Again, here's me. I'm going to help her out. And I'd be like, do you have any questions about how you feel as far as, do you think you're a boy? Do you think you're a girl? Like, do you feel like you're being yourself? Actually, I don't even think I would even ask do you feel like a boy or a girl or whatever. I would seriously be like, do you feel like you can be yourself? And you can, period. I think, and that covers everything. When you give people the space and they feel comfortable and they trust you, they'll tell you everything, especially children. Okay. But again, she touched what I said about imagination. So again, you can't say for this, yes, but for this, maybe not. No, you agree, their imagination. Oh man, no.
Aren't kids famous for their active imaginations? Should we really let our children define reality?
Yeah, make believe.
If I said that I feel a certain way, then obviously you can't tell me I don't feel that way. But just because I feel that way, does that mean that it's true?
I mean, if it's your reality. If it's your reality. It's truly like none of my business.
So we all have our own
identity.
realities? What if I said, I want you to say that it's true that I'm a woman? Would you say that?
I would also say that.
If you want. I honestly don't care. Like, whatever makes you happy.
What's true to you can be false to me.
I get that as far as we both go see a movie and you come out thinking one story and I come out thinking another story. And we're like, saw the same movie and we think completely different about it. I get it. But we're not talking about this. What is a woman? If somebody says I'm a woman, okay, I will say to you, well, you think you're a woman. Am I supposed to agree with you? Or I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to tell you my truth, because that's the other problem here. Is he going to ask this? I wonder if he's going to ask this.
What if I said that it's true? My truth is that you don't exist. You no longer exist.
I mean, if that's your truth, sure. I don't.
Look at this. I love this because I know they're just trying to fit in. They're trying to be good people. And I love that. See, here's the positive about that. But whatever you want, let's, I don't want to hurt your feelings. You're going to get your feelings hurt. I don't care how much you bubble wrap your ass, mentally or physically, you're going to get hurt because that is part of the human experience. Forget about sex and gender and whatever the hell. You get what I'm saying? No, No. I'm laughing because, again, the road to hell was paved with good intentions. Have you heard that one?
Well, you do.
Well, I mean, if you're saying that I do, then I do.
Well, but even if I said that you don't, you still do because we're having this conversation.
I mean, are we?
I think so.
You see, is it a game? I get it. Well, let's call it a game. That's all I'm saying. Let's just call it what it is. So, all right. All right. Is it? Well, are you talking to me or what? They're talking, aren't they? Can she verify they're in a dream? Or he? I don't care. Good point.
Well, I should have known it would be hard to define reality in Hollywood.
Good
I should
point.
probably look to the place where truth is the foremost pursuit. The American University.
Oof. Funny he started with that, right? The truth should be in the university. Used to be the place of
what we do in
open discussion.
Gender studies is not just reduce gender to what psychologists might call individual differences, but rather thinking about gender. And that's not women and man, but gender as a social form, something that kind of infuses itself into virtually all aspects of social life.
Let's talk about that then. I guess we should start with, we've got gender and sex, right?
Yeah.
What's the difference between the two? Is there a difference?
I saw that in your questions and I thought, my goodness, this is what we spend an entire semester kind of thinking through. But what we tend to think about in the social sciences today is that sex refers to a set of biological characteristics and gender is a social construct or category. What I think is
Okay. All right. Gender. That's a whole different thing. Not biological sex. Okay. All right. I can.
Misleading about that characterization is allowed to be sort of messy and complicated. But in that framing, when you split them up into these wholly discrete constructs, studies scholars, and really more specifically people who study gender and sex, we're not talking about sexuality right now. And the kind of academic universe that I travel in is that we see how deeply gendered ideas, cultural ideas about masculinity and femininity, maleness and femaleness, both in humans and in lots of other animals.
So are gender and sex two different things? Or?
Well, I think that they both are and they aren't. I'm comfortable saying
No. Oh! I'm glad I didn't pause it. I was going to pause it like a second before. Again, I'll do whatever you want. I'll say whatever you want. I don't want to go negative on this, but like, it's like when you hurt somebody and they say, you hurt me, right? Or, whether it's physically, mentally, psychologically, and you go, I mean, I feel comfortable saying both. I did hurt you, but I don't think I hurt you. So like, almost like I agree to disagree in a weird way. Bear with me. But you can't have, I'm comfortable saying that gender and sex are two different things. I'm comfortable. Again, why do you have to preface it with I'm comfortable? Focus on the facts, focus on what you're saying, what your belief is, and you're teaching this. You're teaching this. Oh my God, hold on. I'm telling you, if I was this guy's student, I would be in his office every day. Not arguing, just like, talk to me. I would just call him out on uncomfortable saying this. 1 second.
Gender and sex.
So are gender and sex two different things? Or?
Well, I think that they both are and they aren't.
Do you see the body language? They're just saying, look, we want it to be this way. I want it to be this way. So therefore it is. Because I want it to be this way. So it is because I said so. Because I decided so. And that's okay. Because what I think and what I feel, that's the right thing and the truth. And again, it would be more believable if he did not use the word comfortable right before that. Comfortable. Again, this is more about safe spaces. We can have the conversation without being safe. Let's be honest and let's accept each other for how we see things. But in order to have a conversation, we have to agree the words mean the same thing. They have to, or you can't have a conversation. That's not communication. So it's irrelevant of what the topic is about.
Comfortable saying that gender and sex are two different constructs, but they're deeply intertwined with each other.
We're talking about gender and sex, and there's a lot of controversies there. If we're talking about a trans woman has all of the male physical characteristics, so would that not be a male then? Could we plainly say this person is a male?
Well, I guess it's like, why are you asking the question? I think I want to understand sort of why that's so important. So if someone tells
Just
you...
to sort of understand.
I'm with him on that. It shouldn't all be about sex, right? We shouldn't have to have a conversation about sex in order to have a conversation. If that's what he means, I get it.
Reality, no.
Well, I mean, I think when someone tells you who they are, you should believe them. So if a person says that they're a woman or they're...
Also, if a person says I'm Superman or I'm God or I am, again, Spider-Man, and I'm using like, Marvel superhero type thing. I'm just saying people that have powers that are not usual to humans. Okay. So you can say that and I'm cool with it, but then you got to prove it to me. Don't you think? I wonder if Matt's going to say that to him.
And then that's them telling you their gender is. I'm not so sure what social interactions would have to do with maleness or femaleness that we.
Well, I'm not even talking about social context. I'm just trying to start by getting to the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really uncomfortable with that language of like getting to the truth again in social life.
Why is that uncomfortable?
Because it sounds actually deeply transphobic to me. And if you keep probing, we're going to stop the interview.
If I probe about what the truth is,
you keep invoking the word truth, which is condescending.
Okay, these are the moments I was hoping for in this documentary. So you're being offended. You're showing emotion. That means you don't feel confident with your argument. You don't believe your own words. You're getting emotional. And the fact that truth, the word truth, you have a problem with the word truth. Again, see, if I was talking to this guy myself right now, and I was like, what do you mean by the word comfortable? Like, again, I would totally pick every word. You know your shit. You should be able to tell me clearly, confidently. You're teaching this for a living, for God's sakes. How is this even possible? The word truth, and it's condescending. Again, can you please look up the word condescending? I'm just saying, that's not the right word because he's acting from emotion. So obviously there's something, the truth, the same thing he's pointing the finger back at is actually what's bothering him. And notice the body language.
I'm saying to you,
how is the word truth condescending and rude?
I'm shocked that Matt's so chill, by the way. I got to give him that. Again, I'm not, 100% on all his questioning and whatnot. It's like, I'm not saying his script is whether I like it or agree with it, but I'm quite impressed with how he's keeping himself there. And like I said, it's funny because when you know where you're coming from, you're confident without a shadow of a doubt. You don't get like this. And if you do, how are you going to try to win the argument? Again, if I was this guy's coach, I would be like, whatever you do, use your words carefully, clearly, and whatever you do not react with emotion. And if you do, catch yourself, man. You're supposed to be an adult and a teacher at that. Oh, God. People are paying for these classes? Oh, my God.
Your truth is, and you're walking on 30 seconds more than ice before I get up.
Oh, my God. I'm choking on that one. Oh, and now you're threatening. Do you see my point? You're not helping yourself, my friend. You're not. Threat and walking again. So when people don't agree with you or when they're just asking questions that you're supposed to be a teacher for. Oh, man. if they could just be honest, this would not be happening, guys. You just need to be honest, and we would all get along better, and we'll all be happier, and everybody can be whoever they want to be, and we'll all be happy. Trust me, because it's the friction of, it's not about disagreeing, because the truth lends itself. It already like finishes an argument. We all know that. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm like, okay. And hopefully we say we're sorry when we're wrong, but better yet, we're like, wow, not only was I wrong and I'm sorry. Wow, I figured I was wrong. What's wrong with that?
The truth is, well, I don't think I really have a truth. I think that there's just the truth.
That's what I'm saying.
So we should begin by trying to figure out what the reality is.
Good point.
And why?
Again, you see the attitude. Oh God, I wish, Matt, I hope you got more better people that are on that side of the argument, because seriously, guys.
And when someone else tells you that they're a man, or even if they use the word male, why are you concerned with not believing them?
Well, you keep.
Why are you concerned? And he's killing himself right here. Why are you concerned with it? Because he's already coming. I'm getting ahead of myself. He's already assuming that you have a problem with people that identify as a different sex than, say, what they were born with. He has a problem with that. He's judging this person's questioning, which is fine. Maybe Matt does have a problem with it, right? I personally don't at all. But again, I would be asking the same questions. And if he asked me that, I would be like, it seems to me that you have a problem, not me.
Right, so, how do you respond in a social situation?
That's what I do. I'm a social scientist.
Well, right. We're in a university. This is a place of understanding truth, isn't it? Or
absolutely, we pursue truth.
Again, you see how he closes his eyes and he nods his head like that? He's full of shit. He's actually thinks he's special and he has power. He thinks he's above. That's his attitude. I don't know, you might call it a little narcissistic, whatever. There's all these labels for it, but you get me. In layman's terms, right there. Why are you going like that with your eyes? That's not an honest person.
Social scientist, and that's what I do.
But you just said the truth is transphobic.
He's not convinced.
That you would say, if you're saying the truth is that I get to say...
And pointing the finger. We all know nobody likes the finger pointed at them, not even a little kid, okay? So, again, bro, wrong move.
We're not a man. Show me your genitalia. That's transphobic.
No, I don't want to see anybody's genitalia. I just mean someone can make a statement about themselves that could be untrue. Like, for example, if I were to say that I'm a black man, would you accept that, or would you?
Well, that's a good question.
Are you black? Are you African American? Are you bright?
Again, do you see how he moves his head away? So he's trying to gather himself to come up with an answer because he knows the truth, but he's got to stick to the script. So I commend you for that, bro. I commend you for that. The whole Shakespeare acting part is fine, but again, let's just call it an act, and things will get much better.
I don't think so.
You don't look that, and I don't think it doesn't sound like that's a genuine statement of who you are.
Okay, so that's my point. I could make a statement about who I am that's incorrect.
Of course, I think it's well established that human beings can lie, yes.
Or not even lie. I mean, I could just be mistaken.
Yeah.
I guess this all comes down to really one question. Especially
pausing so much.
Women, gender, and sexuality studies. So what is a woman?
Why do you ask that question?
Oh my God! Oh, sorry, guys. I don't mean to be loud, I swear. Now you're avoiding the question. It's almost like when you catch somebody cheating on you, right? And you're asking them, like, did you? Like, you know what I mean? Or do you want to? Or you know what I mean? And they're like, why are you asking that question? Like, come on. you're really not helping yourself here, my friend. I'm telling you, like, and covering his mouth with his hand. I really want to help him. I really do.
I just really like to know.
What do you think the answer to that question is?
Well, I'm asking. That's why I came to a college professor this is what you do.
What other kinds of answers have you gotten?
Great. Look at the body language. Look at the attitude.
A lot of like this, where you're not answering. I've got a lot.
It's interesting that you say that some of the people you've interviewed have been reluctant to answer it, and I think that has a lot to do with the questions that preceded it, and the way that you've conducted yourself in the interview.
You conducted yourself so well. Do you see my point? And now your arms are crossed. Totally defensive. Told you guys. Come on, you know it. On an instinctual level, you know what I'm talking about, even if I'm not putting the right words. Okay? That, not an effective way of communication.
I think you've conducted yourself.
You just really don't want to answer the questions, do you?
I came today very willing and enthusiastic about answering questions about women's and gender sexuality studies, which is
so
the
you
work
wanted
that I do.
You wanted to answer questions about women's studies, and so shouldn't the first answer you should be able to provide is what exactly is a woman?
Well, for me, it's actually a really simple answer, and that's a person who identifies as a woman.
Again, do you see? Why isn't anybody asking them that question? Identifying as a woman doesn't make you a woman, correct? Because if you do, then why put the word identify in front of it? That's simple, guys. That's it. That's the truth bomb right there. Come on.
Define
as a woman.
So what is that?
As a woman.
You know, because you're a woman.
Definition is?
I do.
It's sort of like what you're doing right now. Where a woman is a woman.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you're seeking what we would call in my field of work an essentialist definition of gender. I think it sounds like...
I love look how academic he sounds. Wow. Essentialism. Again, use your words, my friend. Use your words correctly. You should walk around with a dictionary. You should really get your script together, my friend. Seriously. Essentialism. And who made that up? Who's the person who made up essentialism? And how are you throwing it out there? It's like anybody who disagrees with anybody else. It's like, okay, well, you don't agree with me, then you're transphobic. No, transphobia is to have a phobia against trans people. Like you're scared shitless over them. Like I don't know, you got some weird reaction like an allergy, okay? Phobia, a fear, my friend. So essentialism, it's almost like he almost wanted to use the word feudalism. Again, I think he's just liking to use words. I think he likes to play with words. That's where he's taking me right now.
Would like me to give you a set of biological or cultural characteristics that are associated with one gender or the other.
I'm not seeking any type of definition. I'm just seeking a definition.
Yeah, and I gave you one.
Well, now I can say I've been to college. Glad I didn't pay for it.
Look at that.
Is there anyone willing to give me a straight answer? Ideally, somebody with a bunch of medical degrees on the wall. Dr. Grossman, thanks for talking to us. You're a psychiatrist, medical doctor, and you've done a lot of work in child psychiatry. What is transgenderism from a psychiatric standpoint?
The best way to approach it is by speaking about gender dysphoria, which is an intense loathing and discomfort with one's biological sex. They exist anywhere between 1 in 30,000 people and 1 in 110,000. It's important to distinguish those people from what's happening much more recently, which is kids that never had any discomfort or dysphoria, as it's now called, with their biological sex. And then quite suddenly, as preteens or as adolescents, they come out and they announce that they are gender fluid, or they start to question their sex. So first, let's define the terms.
sex and gender.
Yes, please.
Sex is biology. Sex is unchanging. It's based on chromosomes. 99.99.
I should have said that from the get-go, right? I'm sure you guys were thinking it. You didn't leave me a comment. Make sure to leave me a comment. Whether you're watching this live, for sure, say hello. And if you're watching the replay, definitely leave a comment.
9% of the cells in the body are marked either male or female. Gender, on the other hand, is a perception. It's a feeling. It's a way of identifying.
Right.
It's an experience. Okay, that's subjective.
It sounds like what you're saying is that if a man is male, but thinks of himself as a woman, he's not actually a woman?
That's correct.
Male gametes. That's what makes me male.
No, your sperm don't make you male.
Then what does?
It's a constellation.
In reality.
Constellation. Do you guys know what that word constellation means? Sperm is a constellation. If you have sperm, can you please let me know if you think your sperm is constellation?
In truth. Okay.
Whose truth are we talking about?
Oh, here we go. I love it. I love it. God, I wish I was there. Whose truth? There's only one truth. If I cut you, you're going to bleed, correct? Can we agree on that? Like, I hope he lays some, like, truth examples like that. Like, there is truth, sweetheart. There is not whose truth. There is truth. Oh, why are people like...
This room right now, you and I.
No, they're not listening.
If I see a chicken laying eggs and I say that's a female chicken laying eggs, did I assign female, or am I just observing a physical reality that's happening in the world?
Does a chicken have gender identity? Does a chicken cry?
Well,
Does a chicken commit suicide?
How do you know a chicken doesn't cry, number one? Animals have feelings. Did she think about what she just said? And they don't commit suicide? They don't usually, but chickens can do pretty stupid things, guys. I mean, they shit in their own water that they need to drink from, if you didn't know, okay? Okay.
Frame it, because you're trying
Chicken has sex like any biological organism.
has an assigned gender, but a chicken doesn't have a gender identity.
So we assign female to chickens when they lay eggs?
We assume they're
okay, they don't have an identity. They're not a person. They're not as supposedly, because again, I don't pretend to think I know everything. So who knows what kind of consciousness a chicken has, or any animal at that. But in this case, a chicken. But yeah, let's just say they probably don't peck around thinking about their identity, like their sexual identity. I got you there. Okay, this is ridiculous.
Now, I was told that really everyone agrees with the current approach to gender and transitioning kids and all of that. And if you don't agree, that you're a dinosaur and a bigot. So are you a bigoted dinosaur?
I'm not bigoted and I'm not a dinosaur. I am rooted in reality and in science.
Whose reality?
There's one reality.
That's what I mean.
The first race that I competed against a transgender
They don't have to make things so complicated.
during my freshman year.
They really don't. Like, to me, like, get a life. There's so many more things important in life than this. And they're making this their entire existence, like a religion. I don't want to give it a label, but it's a cult-like behavior. And look up the definition of cult. And that's fine. You do you, but don't shove it down my throat. Like religion and politics, we all know not to talk about that shit. We always argue, or there's always disagreements, and some people can't handle it and get all verklempt. I mean, come on. People even do it over different teams in sports, okay? Hello, soccer games, and people are beating the shit out of each other in the bleachers and whatnot, which, again, is totally stupid and archaic. Very, very little evolved humans. For people to want to be so progressive, they're not behaving progressive. They're actually behaving very, very basic, old, primitive.
The two transgender athletes took off flying and left all of us girls in the dust. Throughout all 4 years of high school, I was forced to compete against biological males. I only competed against them in sprinting events, but I raced against these athletes over a dozen times throughout the years, and every single time I lost.
Did they inch you out of medals that you would have won otherwise, or trophies you would have won?
They beat me out by 20 meters out of medals, and qualifying spots. I missed out on qualifying for New England's. I had to go in the long jump and the 4x200 meter relay. So I was forced on the sidelines in my own event. And if they were not there, I would have been able to qualify. So I missed out on so much throughout my high school career.
Did they win all the events or almost all the events?
Between the two of them, they won every single event they competed in.
How does that feel?
It is so frustrating and heartbreaking because we elite female athletes train so hard to shave just fractions of a second off of our time. And going into races knowing that we will never be able to win.
Feels like all that work gone to waste.
It does. After so many losses, it just gets to the point of, why am I even doing this? Why am I keep training so hard and sacrificing so much just to place third and beyond?
How can you not agree with that? How can you not? How are these people and adults in these organizations? How do they sleep at night? Like, somebody's getting paid, guys. This is not about us. Somebody's getting paid to back this up. People don't do this for free. I'm telling you.
In Connecticut, there were 2 male.
And don't give me that. Don't give me that whole, justice warrior, because that ain't it. That's not it. It's not it. Believe me. Just like when there was in history, the Spanish Inquisition, right? The persecution of Christians, persecution of Jews. I mean, if somebody with power wanted to persecute this new age, whatever you want to label it, this would be squashed. Just like they squash people all the time because they disagree and they don't have the same power. This is so wrong, unfair. But I think they're just so in it. It's like they don't have a life, or like I would hope that they could do something better with themselves to help each other instead of, let's play this game and I'm going to make you believe this game is for real. This is not healthy, guys. And I mean on a mental level for everybody.
Right. And who decided that they were going to race against the girls. And you look at those individuals, you look at their times against the men, against the boys, so they were kind of middle of the pack. And then they're racing the girls, and they're, first and second place. Is that indicative of some kind of unfair advantage that those individuals might have against the girls?
No, it's not indicative of an unfair advantage. And I think part of the proof of this is that more transgender girls are coming out in high school and still playing sports, and they're not winning. The Connecticut case is the exception. It got a lot of attention because those 2 trans girls performed well, but there are many more trans girls competing in sports and they don't excel.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, whether or not you win a game is about how hard you work in your practice, and most of us aren't going to win. And that goes for transgender athletes too.
Let's go, girls.
Wait. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to make the statement based on what he just said. I'm going to wrap it up because this is going to a whole nother thing. And I'm going to make this live stream part 1, and then I'm going to have a part 2 for the rest of this documentary. But what he just said about they don't all win, it's still not addressing the question in the situation, whether they should play together, whether it's fair, by saying, and I quote, it got a lot of attention because those 2 trans girls performed well. And he said,
performed well. But there are many more trans.
There are many trans girls competing in sports and they don't excel. As of saying, just like anybody who plays any sport that don't excel or they lose, even when they win sometimes. That is not an answer. I get it. See, I really do get it. I get the fact that, hey, we want to give them a chance. I'm with you on that. But you can't say it's the same because it's just not, and you know it. I don't understand why we can't have a whole different all sports for trans. And I'm not trying to put anybody down, but like when they do Special Olympics, don't get me wrong, I don't even know if they're still doing that. So forgive me. It's like, God knows if that's still a thing. But come on, even like boxers, right? And they play against, and wrestlers, right? They play against like their own body weight. Come on, we know these things, guys. We know these things. It's this whole inclusive to the point that it's not functional. I can't make something without the right ingredients. There can't be a fair fight with different sizes. I mean, come on. I just saw this girl a couple of months ago. There was a video out there where she got crushed. I think it was like an MMA fighter. I could be wrong, but you get me. And she thought she could, be an equal to a man, and she couldn't. I believe she was a trans female. I mean, I guess trans male. She was female to male. And can somebody show me one video of how that they can literally compete and not get their ass whooped? I mean, and I'm sure in some cases there's regular women without even being trans that can beat the shit out of some dudes. It can happen. It's possible. But man, when you're putting this on a grand scale, like in sports specifically, this is not a discussion. The fact that his answer is so weak. Well, some of them don't excel. What? That's not what we're getting at here. Are they equal to compete? Period. Okay. All right. I'm going to wrap it up for today. This is part 1. Stay tuned. Let me know. Keep me posted. And thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking. If you haven't already liked, make sure to hit the like button. It helps the algorithm, helps people find me. And it's because of you. It keeps coming. And it makes me keep coming. Thank you. Much love, guys. Much love. Shannon, I love that you're making all these comments. I so appreciate it. You're like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to rewatch all your comments in the replay because I gotta go right now. But I like it. Yeah, you know what? Men and women are built different. Even animals, females and males are built different. Not every single one, but many. If I had my kid fighting in a playground and they were fighting with somebody 3 times their size, even if they're the same sex, you notice I didn't say gender. All right. Much love. Until next time. Thank you for being here. And I'll talk to you soon.